Hi everybody, I'm here with astrology forecast for the month of October. I'm just going to be giving you the basic big headlines for the month. If you want more detailed astrology forecasts, I do have them on my Patreon. Once a week I do an astrology video as well as a taroscope video, and that can help you really plan your week, especially for your sign, to know what's coming up. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out on the Patreon. I also have levels for those of you that may want a private reading every month. And I also have daily card draws as well. So I've moved those over there. If you're interested, you can go and check it out. But I know you came here for the astrology headlines for the month of October. So October is going to be a crazy month. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I mean, we're 3 days in, and the craziness has already started, hasn't it? And it's just going to get crazier. So it is the most challenging month, I think, of 2020. I would compare it in a lot of ways to March was, but I think this one's a little more volatile. So we shall see, I guess. But based on the aspects and what's going on, I do see that there'll be a lot of plot twists and things. So, hold on to your hat, as they say. So we started the month already with a full moon. We're starting the month with a full moon, and we're ending the month with a full moon. So the second full moon in a month is called a blue moon, thus the phrase once in a blue moon, because it doesn't happen very often. But anyway, we started with a full moon in the sign of Aries. Now, Aries is a very fiery sign. It's very energetic. People tend to be quite energized during a full moon in Aries. This one, though, is a little bit more challenging, it was, because Aries is ruled by the planet Mars, and Mars is retrograde right now in the sign of Aries. So retrograde Mars joined up with the moon on the full moon, and that can lead to some craziest. I know some people, I didn't really notice it, but somebody else had said they felt like there were more car accidents and things. So I don't know if you felt like that in your area. But what's happening is it definitely created a plot twist, as we know. But Mars, when it's in retrograde, it leads to, underdogs winning. It leads to upsets in competitions. Don't start a fight during a Mars retrograde because you will lose. It also causes frustrations. For some of us, a Mars retrograde means that our energy is really sluggish because Mars rules our energy, our will, and our desire. For others, it can cause frustration, arguments, and fights. So it really depends like how it plays out in your personal chart. So we had our first full moon of the month. We then had Venus changing from the sign of Leo into the sign of Virgo. So I do have here from the Oracle of the Radiant Sun, we have here the card for Venus and Virgo, which is discrimination. And they don't mean discrimination as in prejudice. They mean like discernment, because Venus and Leo is quite showy. And I'm a Venus and Leo. We like to be showered with gifts and given a lot of attention and worshipped. And we like gaudy things and being over the top, right? With beauty and things like that. But Venus and Virgo is a lot more classic. She's more discerning. She's more refined. She likes to have nice things. She also likes to have her environment beautiful and organized. It is a great time this month to really go over your beauty routine, particularly your skincare routine. It's also a good time to tidy up. It's a good time to get rid of things that you don't really like, just to make things more refined. Venus and Virgo is actually lending a positive energy this month because she is going to be trining, which is a harmonious aspect, with the Capricorn planets of the planets in Capricorn right now are Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter. And we do have the asteroid Athena there as well. So we've got this little Capricorn pileup. Well, she's going to be making a nice aspect to them. So that is going to help things this month and make things a little smoother for us, especially if you have a strong Venus in your chart. The next thing that happens is on Sunday, October 4th, Pluto goes direct. Now, Pluto retrogrades we don't feel in the same way that we do the personal planets like Mercury, Venus, and Mars. These ones tend to affect more world events and things. We tend to not notice them as much, but he is going to go direct. And so Pluto has an association with death. And so I do unfortunately see that there may be an increase in things like COVID cases, in COVID deaths, things like that, because he does rule death. But he's also about change. He's about slow change, transition over time. And so he's saying, okay, we need to move forward with the changes that we're making. What can we do to make progress? How can we make transitions in the world and in our lives? So watch for that energy. You may see that subtly shift over the next few weeks or so. On Friday, October 9th, one big aspect that we have is we have Mars squaring Pluto on this day. So this is a day where I think there may be something big coming up in the news. Mars rules action, war, aggressiveness, assertiveness, and Pluto rules power. And they're going to be squaring each other. So I do see there's some conflicts and tensions going on. In your own life, look at where your Capricorn house is and your Aries house is. There may be some tension in that area, some power struggles going on. It's a good time to take a look back and think about your relationship with power, how you argue your point of view and your positions, and really just look at some of the power plays and power dynamics that are going on in your life at that time. On Tuesday, October 13th, Mercury goes retrograde. So Mercury goes retrograde about 3 times a year. He's going to be in retrograde until November 3rd, I think it is. So misinformation is something that often comes up. So don't believe everything you read, everything you see. Double check it, look at it. If it doesn't sound right, it probably isn't. But in your own life as well, look at your Scorpio house, because Mercury is in Scorpio right now. And so that's an area where you may experience, technological breakdowns, communication, miscommunication. It is a good time, though, to do some reflecting. And it is a good time to tidy up as well, because people often find things they lost during the last Mercury retrograde in the following Mercury retrograde. So it's a good time to reflect and reevaluate things. So I think it's going to be an interesting month, because I think there's a lot of changes. There may be a lot of chaos. But if we can step back and take a breath and not have knee-jerk reactions to things, I think we'll get through this okay. So Mercury retrograde. And we've got a Mars retrograde going on too. So, it'll be an interesting time, I think, and a somewhat confusing time over the next few weeks. Then we have a new moon on Friday, October the 16th. The new moon is going to be in the sign of Virgo, or not Virgo, Libra, new moon in Libra. Where's my card here? Oh, no, that's the blue moon. Where are we here? Aha. So Libra, it says a new romantic cycle begins. And I would say that, as far as new moon intentions go and manifesting, definitely Libra rules romance and partnerships. So it is a good time for that. I think, though, that this particular new moon is more about setting intentions for protection, setting intentions to preserve things the way they are. It isn't a really great time for new beginnings. I would leave that more for December. Right now, it's more about protection and preserving things. I don't see a lot of super manifestation type aspects going on at that new moon. So it's more about just protecting and preserving at that particular point. Monday, October 19th, we have the second of the Mars squares for this month. We have Mars squaring Jupiter. Now, the last time Mars squared Jupiter, because what happened is it moved forward and it squared with the Capricorn planets, and then it went retrograde and went backwards, and now it's making all those squares again. So the last time Mars squared with Jupiter, that was the day of the big explosion in Lebanon. And Jupiter means big, and Mars rules things like explosions and fires and war. So I think that is a day where we may see something dramatic kind of happen. Also, watch for any explosions in your own life. Don't blow up at somebody. If somebody blows up at you, just kind of take notice. Again, don't knee-jerk react during this time. This is a time to reflect and stand back a bit. So watch for stuff on October the 19th. Thursday, October 22nd, the sun moves into Scorpio, as it always does at this time of year. Where are my cards? I love these cards. So here we have endurance, which I think is very apt. This whole year feels like a big endurance run, that's for sure. So this, changes. The sun always changes our focus. And right now, there's a lot of focus on partnerships and being in harmony at this time of year. Well, we kind of get into that Halloween season. Things are a little more intense, a little more in depth. We're thinking more about the spiritual side of things. We're thinking more about the shadow and psychological work and things. So, it's natural this time of year for us to go into that, especially here in the Northern Hemisphere. It's getting darker, all that kind of stuff. But I think particularly this year, we're in it for a bit of an endurance run for October and November. So, self-care is going to be super important in taking care of ourselves. On Tuesday, October 27th, both Mercury and Venus move into the sign of Libra. So Venus goes forwards from Virgo into the sign of Libra. Mercury, though, because he's in retrograde, he was in Scorpio. Now he moves backwards into the sign of Libra. So that's a really harmonious day because our communication becomes more conciliatory, we become more diplomatic, we're willing more to listen to others, we're a little less intense. But Venus as well. Venus just wants harmony. Venus wants to get along in Libra. She rules Libra. She's very, very happy there. Great time for partnerships. Great time to reconcile. Great time to talk to somebody that maybe earlier in the month you might have had a blow up with or an intense conversation with. Or at least be able to, you may not be able to totally reconcile, but a way to kind of go over things and reflect on things. So Venus goes into... Venus in Virgo says indecision. And Venus in Virgo can be indecisive, but I see Venus in Virgo as more about harmony. And then we have Mercury in Libra. We have influence. And that's about being diplomatic. We don't always have to like push our way into things. We can sweeten things up a bit. So Tuesday's a very conciliatory day, October 27th. And then on Saturday, October 31st, we have our full moon in Taurus, and it is a blue moon. So blue moons are times to wish for any possibility. So first of all, we have your dreams need a practical plan for full moon in Taurus. And then for blue moon, it says believe in the impossible. And this card is really relevant because this full moon in Taurus is going to be exactly conjunct, meaning at the same point in the sky as where Uranus is. And Uranus is a planet of chaos, inspiration, sudden surprises. And I think we're in for a big surprise on October 31st. I think that if we think this full moon's been surprising, I think that one will be more surprising. So there's going to be a plot twist, I think, at the end of the month, a big surprise, something that's happening on that day. And it'll be interesting. The full moon in Taurus tends to be a pretty gentle full moon, one that really encourages us to appreciate beauty, appreciate life. And certainly, you know, it's Halloween, a great time to dress up and eat candy and all that stuff. And if, you know, you're like me and you practice witchcraft and you're following the wheel of the year, it's also a time to honor the dead. And by honoring the dead, we appreciate life because we realize life is finite and it's not going to be here forever, right? But because it's also a blue moon as well, and it's conjunct Uranus, it's going to be a full moon that brings a lot of surprises with it. I'm personally going to stay home, eat candy, watch movies, and I guess we'll all just have to wait to see what happens. But I do think that this month is one that's going to hold some surprises for all of us, both I think in the world and in our own personal lives as well. I think one of the things we can best do right now is practice a lot of self-care, especially with Mars being in retrograde. Some of us don't have a lot of energy, others are feeling frustrated, so we have to practice good self-care. And with Mercury in retrograde, we have to, I think, slow down as well, and also reflect on things a bit, especially because I think there is a lot of activity going on in the outer world. So that's what I'm seeing for the month of October. I hope this is helpful. Like I was saying, if you want a week by week, more detailed one, I do have them on my Patreon. Just so you know as well, on my Etsy shop, the featured reading for the month are past life readings. They're usually $50. They're at $40 for the month of October if you're interested in getting one of those. You know, it's that time of year where I think it's a good time for past life readings. You know, the veil's thinner. It's a good time to do some reflection and looking at things a little bit deeper. So if you want to check that out, there's links below. Thank you again so much for all of your lovely comments and support. I so appreciate it. You guys are the best. A big shout out to my patrons. Thank you so much for being there for me, especially to Nathan and Marie. You guys are the best. And as always, peace and love and love.